There are a few days in your life that you'll never forget. Your wedding day, the birth of your first child, and the release day of a game that you are really looking forward to, only to be disappointed with what you get. And this has happened to me 3 times now. Fallout 76, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and now, it pains me to say it, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Listen, Sparking Zero is great, but it has just enough issues for me to feel a bit deflated about it. Honestly, it sucks that I haven't enjoyed this as much as I wanted to. I booked annual leave from work for this. So I'm going to use this video to look at what I liked about the game, and talk about the elements that kept it from being as good as I hoped it'd be. The first thing I want to look at here is the presentation. The previous Budokai Tenkaichi games have a blocky art style that worked really well for the technical capabilities of the consoles at the time. It looks great, but it's probably not the best choice for Dragon Ball media in this day and age. Sparking Zero overhauls the old art style with a cel-shaded look and perfect character models.
All of them?
Well, I think a few characters like Base Cabba and First Form Frieza look a bit off, but everyone else looks great. All the environments and arenas are the best they've ever looked, and they're all fully destructible again. You can throw someone right through an office building like Vegeta in Wrath of the Dragon. I can't sing Sparking Zero's praises enough in the visual department. Everything from the auras to the intros to the super attacks looks so good. I think that some of the beams look weirdly thin, but other than that, it's the best looking Dragon Ball game other than Fighters. Dragon Ball games have always had great music, and I think that comes down to most of it being stolen. But even since then, games like Fighters, Kakarot, and even Xenoverse have had really good soundtracks. Sparking Zero follows the pattern, but I think it's also kind of forgettable. I looked up the soundtrack online and listened to some of the songs, and they're really good, but I don't remember hearing any of them while playing the game. And while I'm on the topic of the soundtrack, why wasn't Hironobu Kageyama brought back for the opening theme? I love Limit Break X Survivor as much as the next guy, but it shouldn't have been the opening song. It's very rare that I mention menu design outside of Persona. But the mode select menu here is so full of character. They're all perfect and they embrace every aspect of Dragon Ball. The World Tournament Arena, Kame House, Kami's Lookout and more. And I love that Goku's mode of transportation changes between stages. He flies to Capsule Corp, Supreme Kai teleports him to Zeno's place, and he uses instant transmission to get to Kame House. It's small, doesn't do anything for the gameplay experience, but it's just so fucking charming. And the attention to detail doesn't end at the game mode selection. A staple of the Versus matches returns with the intro cutscenes and special interactions depending on the matchup. There are also special finishes which feel like a throwback to dramatic finishes from Fighters. But unfortunately, there are only 3 in the game right now. Goku's Angry Kamehameha from Namek, Goku's Dragon Fist from Wrath of the Dragon, and Master Roshi's Mafuba. It's really fun going for the trophy that requires you to see 20 special finishes when you can only watch these 3 over and over again. Certain characters also have unique grabs depending on their opponent, like Vegeta and Goku Black, Android 16 and Imperfect Cell, and Goku and Majin Buu. And the transformation animations look so good. They look like they were taken straight out of Raging Blast 2.
Now, feast your eyes! Mike.
Someone cooked here.
But I have to admit, these are hit or miss. Some of the animations reference the original anime or movies, and some just kind of happen. But it's a reference to Raging Blast 2, so it gets a pass. The 3D anime arena fighting game is a genre that's seen a few games recently. The market has been oversaturated with mediocre anime fighting games, but not Storm 4. That shit's just awesome. The gameplay of Sparking Zero is fast and frantic. It turns out that the old Tenkaichi gameplay still works perfectly today. Wiping out your enemies with a combination of melee attacks, ki blasts, and planet-busting attacks is and always will be fun. There have been some additions to the classic gameplay like the revenge counters and new evasion mechanics, but the classic Sonic Sway looks so fucking good in 2024. While the gameplay is really fun, the controls took some getting used to. Coming from the Wii version of Tenkaichi 2, playing on a regular controller was a pretty big change. And I don't know if this is a widespread issue, but it feels like there's a delay between pressing a button and my character performing the action on screen. And with things like super attacks and transformations, sometimes I have to press the input more than once for it to register. There have been times where I've been mid-combo and my character's just stopped attacking. The combination of the input delay and the game not always recognizing button presses makes the new mechanics almost useless, since they rely on timing your inputs with your opponent's attacks. The main thing everyone talks about when it comes to Tenkaichi 3 is the roster. It's huge, with 162 characters including niche picks like General Tao, Pikkon, and King Vegeta. The roster was what Tenkaichi 3 was known for, so obviously the next entry in the series had to have an even girthier lineup. And Sparking Zero delivers, with 182 characters taken from every part of the series. Original, Z, Super, GT. I'm kidding, GT is fine.
Step into the Grand Tour. Grand Tour, Grand Tour. Step into the Grand Tour. Dragon Ball GT.
Obviously, the roster being this diverse is a huge success and acknowledges the majority of Dragon Ball's history. And while adding characters from Daima and Super Hero is awesome, I am a bit disappointed that characters like Pikkon, King Vegeta, and Supreme Kai aren't here despite being in Tenkaichi 3. But other than that, the roster here is very impressive and includes characters that I never imagined being in a Dragon Ball game. I mean, thank God. I know people were really hoping to see Rosie. 90% of Dragon Ball games make you play through the story of the manga and anime. And Sparking Zero follows this trend, but the main difference here is the structure. Sparking Zero opts for a character episode mode, similar to Naruto Storm Generations. You play through a single character's story, experiencing their journey and perspective throughout the series. This would be cool if they all had wildly different stories, like if all the characters branched off and had their own mini-arcs. But there's almost always several members of the cast around at any one time. So I hope you enjoyed the Android Saga, because you're going to be playing it 4 times. And while we're talking about the episode structure, there's a massive bias towards Goku. You play as him from the Saiyan Saga all the way to the end of the Tournament of Power, but other major characters get a fraction of the attention. Piccolo's story goes from the Saiyan Saga to halfway through the Android Saga. Vegeta constantly gets shafted during the series, so it's only natural that this extends to the games too. Considering the fact that he's Goku's rival and arguably just as important, Vegeta's story mode is minuscule in comparison, only going from the Namek Saga to the Buu Saga. Goku's story mode includes 8 sagas since the game skips the Universe 6 tournament entirely, and Vegeta's only covers 3. On second thought, they should cut it down to 2 so that Goku can do the Buu Saga twice. Silly me. Compounding my issues with the story mode, some of the character choices left me a bit puzzled. Gohan, Future Trunks, and Frieza all make sense, but Goku, Black, and Jiren stick out to me. They're literally only around for 1 arc each. And I know the story mode is expanded with what-if scenarios, but there's only so much you can do to change one story arc. Story mode also has these drastic difficulty spikes that are really inconsistent. Some story fights are really easy, and others feel like you're fighting the Dragon Ball equivalent of Jesus. The most well-known difficulty spike is against Great Ape Vegeta in the Saiyan Saga of Goku's story mode, but others I encountered personally were the fight against Goku Black and Zamasu, and the what-if where you fight the entire Ginyu Force on Earth. Speaking of what-if scenarios, Sparking Zero's story mode is filled to the brim. Every character's story mode contains multiple branching paths that lead to different story outcomes. Some of these are kind of small and inconsequential, like Goku defeating Cell or Majin Vegeta defeating Buu, which both end with, and they all lived happily ever after.
Goku! You're alive!
And on the other side of this, you have some of the coolest what-ifs the games have ever had. The what-ifs in the story mode are so fun, but they're a massive pain to access. The unlock requirements are super vague, and the ones that need you to win under a time limit are the bane of my existence. The map will just say, defeat Cell, not defeat Cell within 90 seconds. I wouldn't have this complaint if there was just a timer at the top of the screen telling me how long I have left to access the what-if scenario. And if you go over the time limit, there's no way to go back and restart the mission without exiting to the story map. They just decided to make the process of retrying a fight the most tedious process ever for no reason. And while we're talking about stupid decisions around the what-if scenarios, Gohan Black and Super Saiyan Vegeta in his original armor aren't playable, even though they've already been used for the story mode. And while I'm on a negative tangent, most of the story is told through PowerPoint slides. You'd think that a game as stunning as Sparking Zero would want to flex its muscles by using its visuals to be the best retelling of the Dragon Ball story. But no, we get a story mode that sporadically jumps between different points in the series and tells the story the same way UK universities deliver their courses and still expect students to fork out 10 grand a year for the privilege. The other kind of story content you get access to are custom battles. These are storylines created using Sparking Zero's What If creator. There's a collection of battles made by the developers with some fun ideas, like Goku going to Hell to recruit other villains for the Tournament of Power, Cell being revived during the Buu Saga and helping Goku defeat Majin Buu, and Turles returning to Earth for revenge during the 7 years after the Cell Saga. Alongside these, you can also create your own what-ifs and share them online. This is really cool, and you know that YouTubers who make the what ifs about Goku being betrayed and trapped in the time chamber are going to use the shit out of this. And naturally the top played battle is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta vs Base Cabba. These are really fun. I played one about Vegito fighting Jiren in the Tournament of Power, but it felt like I was constantly stopping and starting for cutscenes. It felt like I was playing Raging Blast 1 again. Another Tenkaichi series staple returns with Tournament Mode. Sparking Zero has 6 different tournament formats with different settings regarding team sizes, ring outs, HP recovery between rounds, and even flying in one case. You have the World Tournament, Cell Games, Otherworld Tournament, Tournament of Destroyers, Tournament of Power, and the Yamcha Games, a fully randomized tournament. While it's nice that they acknowledge the Otherworld and Universe 6 tournaments, it's a hollow gesture. Neither of these tournaments have their stages from their respective anime arcs in the game, so the tournaments just take place in a random selection of the very limited number of stages we got in the game. The mention of the Otherworld tournament particularly annoys me because it's my favourite filler in Dragon Ball Z. Well, it's my favourite other than... And there are no characters from the Otherworld tournament arc in the game. Pycon would have been a great addition to the roster, and he has enough unique attacks so that he doesn't need filler moves like Super Explosive Wave, Full Power Energy Blast Volley, or just Energy Blast. You can also fight against the CPU in free battle or other people online, but the matchmaking in the online battles is god awful. It takes forever to find a match, and the online lag makes the timing you learn for revenge counters and vanishing pointless. My internet speed is pretty good, and I have my search preferences set to 5 bars, and somehow I'm still getting lag. There are some other modes and features available outside of the main gameplay. You can complete challenges and missions for Zeno and Whis. This doesn't really add anything to the game in my opinion. I just accepted all the completion rewards every couple of hours or so. The only thing you get is Zenny and things for your player card like titles and pictures. You can use the Zenny you've earned through gameplay in the shop menu. Here you're able to buy things like characters, outfits and more. But this kind of highlights the lack of cosmetic options available in the game. There are only 5 accessories in the entire game, even though the character customization menu shows like 10 available slots. And while there are some cool outfits like Yadra and Saiyan Armor Goku, Jackie Chun, and Gohan's best fit of all time, there's so much room for improvement. In the Tenkaichi trilogy, every character has an alternate skin, whether it's a new outfit or just a palette swap. There are so many options outside of regular outfit but torn up. Piccolo and Goku's driving outfits, Turles with the K, Badman Vegeta, Sleeveless Trunks, pre-Cell Games Goku, outfits from the baseball episode, the Sab codes from the Broly movie, and there's so much stuff from heroes they could pull from. I'm hoping more customization options will come through future updates and DLC, but for now I think the selection's a bit lacking. The other things you buy in the shop include music that plays when you enter sparking mode, stat modifiers, and settings to use for the CPU and training mode, which feels a bit odd. The shop also features Bulma, who won't shut the fuck up.
Wow, you must be almost as rich as me. You won't see one of these every day, trust me. A big spender, huh? Spending money always feels so good.
The constant talking kind of got on my nerves until it reminded me of a speech prompts in Budokai 2, which I heard on repeat while I did the glitch to unlock every item for free.
The next time you come in. Oh, fight the next time you come in. Fight the next time you come in.
The gallery mode features the encyclopedia and the theatre. The encyclopedia lets you view every character in the game, their model, make them do some emotes, and listen to Chi-Chi, Bulma and Videl talk about them. And the theatre lets you watch your replays, the opening and ending movies, and listen to the game's soundtrack, which you also need to purchase in the shop.
Man! They still got this on stock? I approve of this product specifically. This is a great product and fairly priced. I'm gonna buy this right now.
By completing story battles, random battles, and some of Whis' challenges, you can obtain 3 different sets of Dragon Balls. When you have a full set of 7, you can summon either Shenron, Porunga, or Super Shenron to make a wish. You can unlock more characters, get Zenny, super attacks, outfits, and more. But Zenny's just the best option because you can use it to buy everything else. It's like getting cash from someone at Christmas. It means you can just get whatever you want without asking for it. Because let's be honest, it's kind of awkward if you put Shirtless Toppo on your Christmas list. I've been reluctant to talk about Sparking Zero. I wanted to be obsessed with this game. I expected to pick it up and not put it down until I was finished. but as you can see by the date of this video, it's been a bit of a slog to get through. Sparking Zero has a brilliant roster, looks absolutely gorgeous, and has some of the best what-if scenarios in any of the games. But this all feels like a shell protecting a very hollow experience comprised of a tedious story mode, lack of customization options, and random difficulty spikes made even worse by the control scheme and occasional input delay. The game somehow feels like it's both brimming with content and lacking it at the same time. I think the roster is doing the majority of the heavy lifting when it comes to the game's appeal, and I think they're going to need to add content to keep players engaged, especially considering the fact that Steam has seen a 90% drop off of players since release. But with that being said, Sparking Zero is a very good game, but it just didn't click with me for some reason. So for that, I'm giving a conflicted 7 out of 10.